This is the Greg Bedard Patriots podcast with Nick Cattles.
I don't know what to do with myself. First of all, the Patriots are going to the Super Bowl. And then Greg Bedard shows up on time this week after he was stuck in a Denver airport until like 3 a.m. I'm shocked. I don't know which one surprises me more.
Which one was more improbable? Anything is possible.
I think I'm going to go with you. He's Greg Bedard. I'm Nick Cattles, part of the CLNS Media Network. Of course, this episode is brought to you by Prize Picks, largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America. Download the app today. Use the code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Before we get to the AFC Championship game, as we always do on this pod, let's hit the headlines first. And Greg, literally just about, 30 minutes ago, 45 minutes ago, we find out that there's a new head coach in the AFC East. Joe Brady is going to be promoted from offensive coordinator to the head coach in Buffalo. He's going to get a 5-year deal. I don't think this surprises anyone, Greg, but do you like this move by the Bills?
Nope, absolutely not. Congratulations on the New England Patriots on being the 2026 AFC East champions as well. So now we have Aaron Glenn, who, as a defensive coach, couldn't even get his team to make an interception. Jeff Hafley and his flat top is the head coach of the Miami Dolphins. Every time I see pictures of him, because I don't remember him having that hairdo at PC. I'm like, wait, does he have is that a flat top? Is it really? He looks like what's his name's brother from Weird Science. Anyways, and now you have just predictably Joe Shane pulling a power move against Sean McDermott, and then wouldn't you know, installing the internal puppet so that now Joe Shane has all power. It's all consolidated. It's the kind of thing that dysfunctional, horrible franchises do. So congratulations, Buffalo Bills. You are, Josh Allen can get you far enough, so you're not going to be in the basement, but this is not going to end well.
It's pretty clear that Josh Allen likely wanted this move, right? I don't think it's shocking that his offensive coordinator gets the job. I don't think it was shocking that Brian Daboll, his name was leaked out almost immediately, which was kind of weird because it wasn't like Brian Daboll lit the world on fire with the New York Giants. But he was mentioned right away, boy. Within Sean McDermott, the body wasn't even cold, and we were getting reports about Brian Daboll possibly being the next guy. So look,
Nick, 1 second. I just have to restate this, okay? It's Mike Vrabel versus Aaron Glenn, Joe Brady, and Jeff Hafley. It's it's 25 years since 2001. It's getting set up again for the Patriots to be terrible division. I mean, Josh Allen is here. There are no other quarterbacks in the division. So Josh Allen is definitely different than the good old days for the Patriots. But I don't know what's old is new in the AFC East. That's what it feels like.
Now, I'm not going to write off everybody. I mean, we haven't seen these guys as head coaches in the NFL. Hafley might end up being good. Who knows? Joe Brady might end up being good. Who knows? I feel like Aaron Glenn, I would not be too confident about that if I were a Jets fan. But it's fascinating how this quickly changed, man. I mean, you go back and the Bills, we won't spend too much more time on this, but it is in the division, and it is the team that's supposed to be battling you for the next few years at the top of the division. So I think it's worthwhile conversation. It is pretty fascinating, though. I mean, you go back just a couple of weeks ago, and if Josh Allen doesn't turn the ball over 5 times or 4 times and plays god-awful, missing several wide receivers who were wide open, I mean, the Bills win that game. And I don't even know if we're having this conversation. The Bills would have gone to New England. That would have been the AFC Championship game. So, it's just kind of a weird thing where Josh Allen costs his team a playoff game on the road, and the coach is the scapegoat. He gets fired. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you Sean McDermott's the greatest of all time. But Sean McDermott, he no doubt takes the bullet for the quarterback. The quarterback is the only one within the organization, by the way, who went out there and took full accountability and didn't cry I mean, he did literally cry, but he did not figuratively cry about, the call and this and that. He was like, I didn't play well enough. And I don't think it's a terrible idea that Josh Allen has say, because you want to make sure that your franchise quarterback, the guy who's made Buffalo relevant the last several years, you want to make sure that guy's happy. But yeah, it's certainly, if you're looking at this division and you're looking at the coaching, I don't think there's any doubt whatsoever that Mike Vrabel is by far the best head coach in this division. Speaking of Mike Vrabel, he was asked about the Drake Maye shoulder, quote unquote, injury. Just to make sure, I want to give the people the background. If you've been living under a rock or you've been busy and a lot of stuff's going on, I get it. You might not have heard. There is a doctor, former NFL doctor of, I think, 17 years. His name is David Chow. And he went on a podcast and he speculated. This is not a report. This is not somebody telling us exactly what happened. This is a doctor who watched the game and speculated on this podcast, Greg, that Drake Maye in the third quarter grabbed at his shoulder. I will say, in real time, watching the game, I noticed that he grabbed at the shoulder. I noticed that he was working the shoulder out. David Chow says, and I should include this, you can look it up yourself, everybody. You can Google him, a Kurt Signetti. You can Google David Chow. He has a very checkered past. I will just say that. Some questionable things about the job he's done as a doctor. But he goes out there and says, this is a shoulder injury. I think this is a shoulder injury, whatever. Mike Vrabel was asked about it, Greg, just a little while ago. He said, no, I wouldn't say anybody hurt anything against the Broncos. He also said everyone's dealing with something. I'm pretty much paraphrasing quickly here. So what have you heard about Drake Maye's shoulder? What should the level of concern be for Patriots fans right now on this Tuesday afternoon?
I was told yesterday, because I saw this and I, checked in with people. There's nothing significant. Okay, let's just put it that way. There's nothing significant, nothing that's going to affect him in the game. Look, it's football, and played in crappy weather the other day, where you can't always make sure you land in the right way and things like that, or at least, a little bit. The footing's bad. So, whatever. I understand people go, nuts over this stuff. But it's, look, he's going to play. He's got to play well. There are no excuses. He's in the game's 2 weeks out. He'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, I'll go deeper into this with the Locked On Patriots stuff that I'm going to record later today. It should be out tomorrow on Wednesday. But I just, if you go back and you actually watch the video and listen to what David Chow says, I got a lot of questions. I got a lot of questions with the logic and reasoning he throws out there. So that's what I'll say. All right, before we get into the actual game, Greg, I did want to ask you, because you were out there in Denver, just kind of the overall feel of the locker room, the post-game scene, what guys were saying, just kind of the general vibe of, were guys shocked? Were guys surprised? Were guys, confident this was going to happen? Just give the fine folks listening, watching a feel for what it was like in that locker room after the Patriots beat the Broncos on Sunday.
So, I'll say this. It's been a while, 7, 8 years since I've been in a conference championship game winning locker room. I think that I was surprised at how understated it was. I thought, there might be, I don't know, beer, champagne. I don't know what you can and can't do anymore. I assume you can do. I mean, baseball teams celebrate for freaking wild card bursts and whatnot. So I assume you can do anything, or cigars. I thought I smelled cigar when I was coming from Vrabel's post-game press conference, and also I think that's all I listened to. And then I left and I went to the locker room, and I thought I smelled cigars, and maybe I did. Maybe it was in like the coach's room or whatever. Did notice some beer in there, but the thing that struck me was, these guys weren't like really over the top celebrating or anything like that. It was like, to me, it was like just another game. There's another game to go. I don't know. with everything that was going on with the snow out there, the snow back here, like I haven't seen any of the videos and the mics up and all the stuff, which I'm sure a lot of Patriots fans have been, pants off to and watching that stuff, including like yourself. But so I don't know anything that's out there, but I don't know what Vrabel said to the team afterwards. I'm sure he said something along the lines of congratulations, but we got one more. The mission's not finished yet. All that stuff. I mean, you could sense. I mean, the guys were definitely happy, and people, whether it was Stretch or Elliott Wolf and Ryan Cowden and some of the coaches and the staff, and some of the players, you could tell Steph Diggs, like it meant a lot to him. Hunter Henry, like that kind of stuff. But I thought it was very understated, and I thought I was in the locker room of a team that was not going to the Super Bowl but had another playoff game the next week.
That's kind of been the vibe, this entire run, right? It just feels like these guys are focused on what's next, and I think that speaks volumes of Mike Vrabel and how he's been able to get them mentally prepared of like, don't smell your own flowers just yet. Greg would say, don't smell your own farts. Don't lose yourself within what's going on. Like, just stay focused on the goal. And the goal is obvious. And so I'm not shocked that it was understated in that locker room. All right, we're going to get to the actual game. Greg's going to break it down. I have a few thoughts. But first, let's talk about Prize Picks, Greg. Whether
you're starting a new routine or making player picks for the first time, trying something new can be hard, but in life and on Prize Picks, it always feels good to be right with high-pressure playoff matchups every weekend. With one more to go, and elite hoops action almost every night. The action never stops, and Prize Picks lets you take control. My favorite thing about Prize Pick is picking multiple sports in the same lineup. With basketball back, I can put Jaylen Brown and Drake Maye in the same lineup and root for both. Prize Picks now has early payouts. If your lineup gets off to a hot start, you may now have the option to cash out those winnings before your bet goes down the tubes. Prize Picks now offers stacks, meaning you can pick the same player up to 3 times in the same lineup. Want to pick more on Drake Maye's yards, rushing, touchdowns? I don't know. Maybe the way he's playing right now, maybe just rushing yards and maybe rushing TDs. Now you can pick all of them in the same lineup, only on Prize Picks. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right.
Thankfully, we had the Prize Picks video rolling because I just spilled water all over my chin and shirt, and it was a disaster. For those listening, we ask that you subscribe to the podcast, like, and leave a review. For those watching the show on CLNS, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe to the Patriots Press Pass YouTube channel, where you can find our show, a lot of other great Patriots content. Also, make sure to turn on your notifications and check out BSJ, Boston Sports Journal, $50 for the year. Bedard and Giardi tag teaming on the Patriots with film and the best sources around. Greg, watching the game over again on Monday morning, I thought Mike Vrabel coached the pants off Sean Payton. Would you agree?
Yeah, I would. And by the way, just to let people know, with all the different travel logistics, I've watched and graded the defensive film. I've watched and graded fully the first half of the offensive film, and then I have watched the second half in sort of more shorthand. I haven't done it formally. I'll do it tomorrow and have my write-up on BSJ. So it's a little bit more complete, but I've watched all the plays. Yeah, I would agree. I think that to me, this was a matchup of a coaching staff in totality. Not just Mike Vrabel versus Sean Payton, but, everything, defensive coordinators, offensive coordinators, and including, sort of right-hand men to the head coaches. And so, that would mean John Stretch. And then on the other side, I didn't realize this until I read Seth Wickersham's piece, which is really good about Sean Payton and the 4th down decision. And when you read that, you're just like, and he still made the mistake. Like, we talked about Sean Payton's ego in the run up to this, and I do think it was a factor. And I don't think Vrabel has an ego when it comes to that stuff. It's just about like, what do we need to do to win the game, and how do we need to play to win the game? And I think that included, telling Josh McDaniels and Drake Maye to play conservative. Like the most important stat in this game is going to be turnovers. And the Patriots had a big fat 0. So credit to Drake Maye on that, who, did not play well again overall. But, for him in those conditions against that defense and the pass rush to come out to go from, being Mr. Fumbles to not turning the ball over was huge. And the Broncos had 2, 3 if you want to include the 4th and 1 play. But, Sean Payton's stretch is Evan Rothstein, who I did not realize he was there.
Yeah.
You will remember that he was Matt Patricia's nerd in Detroit. He brought him here when he came back. He was Belichick. He basically took over for Ernie Adams for Belichick. He stayed on for Gerard Mayo and was sort of taught Gerard Mayo like game management and all that stuff. And now he's with Sean Payton. And I think, just from the weather aspect, I'd be willing to bet a lot of money that Stretch knew the weather reports to a T as well as possible. Probably had him coming to him during the game. It looked like the Broncos had no clue. But just in general, yeah, I thought the Patriots, starting with Mike Vrabel, coached the pants off of Sean Payton, and that's why, or in large measure, the Patriots are going to the Super Bowl.
This was delicious. I enjoyed this thoroughly. First of all, let me just say, I've always said this, and I was saying this over beers with my buddy when we were watching the Bills-Broncos game the week before. I think Sean Payton is overrated. I don't think he's a bad coach at all. But people talk about him like he's one of the top 5 coaches in football. I do not believe that. I thought them not running the football against Buffalo was just I know they haven't had a great run game, but they were running it well, and they called like 10 runs that entire game, which allowed Josh Allen to keep getting the football back, even though they turned it over 1 trillion times. And I think it's like what you said, Greg. I think, first of all, him coming out last week and saying in front of the media, oh, yeah, fans are going to have plenty of time to rest, 2 weeks. And then apparently he was strutting his stuff with his chest out, proud as a peacock at practice, telling CBS about how Denver was going to win this football game. Oh, how's that taste, Sean Payton? Like, I was very happy to see Sean Payton lose that football game on Sunday. And if it wasn't the Patriots, I would be very happy to see him lose that football game on Sunday. If it was against Houston, I would have been rooting for Houston. He just rubs me the wrong way. And he comes across as somebody as my shit doesn't stink. Look how smart I am, how great I am. I am going to outcoach and outwit everybody. It's just, I would say it's, and I don't know him personally. I'm just telling you how he comes across. Borderline arrogant with his football intelligence. So I enjoyed thoroughly watching Mike Vrabel clean his clock during the AFC Championship game, which I thought he did. I thought Vrabel's understanding of the game, the tone of the game, what you need to do to get out of there with a win, as Jarrett Stidham continues to throw the football, including a throw deep against Christian Gonzalez in blizzard conditions. Hey, man, you went out there and you talked a great game, and it blew up in your face. Let's talk about Drake Maye. He wasn't good, Greg.
No. Yeah, even before the weather came in, he, what was weird in this game is that, like, I think I had him for like 6 minus throws in this game. That's a lot for him. I mean, usually it's 1, 2, maybe 3 for him. Just missing, open guys. He took a couple of sacks that he didn't need to see, a couple decisions. I mean, the first throw of the game, he almost throws an interception. Luckily, Steph Diggs gets his hand in there. His only plus plays for me were there was one throw, and that was the flea flicker to Mac Hollins, which was, perfect, and supposedly after his humongous shoulder injury.
Yes, post-injury.
It was a freaking dot. It was everything with his legs. He looked very uncomfortable to me in this game. This is the first time in a long time I've seen it that way. I thought he was jittery. I thought he was looking at the rush a little bit. He wasn't setting his feet, which led to some issues with his mechanics. I don't know the reason. I don't know if he was under orders in this game. Like, we talked about it, like 2.5 seconds. Like, you got to stop holding the ball, which of course he did at times in this game.
Yeah.
But, you got to get rid of it. You got to give Will Campbell and these guys a chance. And, like I said, the turnover thing, I think they were like, just don't turn the ball over. Okay. That's all. We're going to win this game. We see the path. It's freaking Jarrett Stidham. But yeah, Drake Maye was not good in this game. I would say this was his worst game of the postseason. By good measure. I haven't done my totals yet, but that's what it looks like. Look, there are no excuses. I don't want to hear anything about the weather or whatever, shoulder. Again, a lot of this stuff happened before any of that stuff. And, Tom Brady played an AFC Championship, won an AFC Championship game with, a gash and stitches in his throwing hand. And so, look, he's going to have to be a lot better, if they're going to win the Super Bowl against the Seahawks.
So I broke it down, and you and I have different, I'm sure we have different totals. We always do. You've been doing this for a long time. I just started, kind of a newbie, wet behind the ears. I'm not afraid to admit that. But I actually did break it down, and I went into this on Locked On Patriots. Ding, another self-promotion there. But I actually went through it. I looked at the game, and I broke it down like what Drake Maye did before the weather turned bad, which was really the second possession offensively in the third quarter. That's when it started to get really bad. That first possession in the second half of the third quarter, that wasn't that bad. Yep. Before the weather turned bad, I actually had Drake Maye as a -4 overall. I had the same. Well, there you go.
+2, -6.
That's exactly what I had. So there you have it. So it's +2, -6 for Drake and before the weather turned bad. And I'll just give people a couple of examples. The almost interception Greg brought up, I actually thought he had Pop Douglas open against McMillan on the other side of the field on Drake's right. But he had predetermined he was throwing that to Diggs off the look. And Pittsburgh. And maybe I always think about like Palomalu with Hufanga. And Hufanga drops off and they fool him. And so, but he had Pop against McMillan on the opposite side of the field. There was the missed hole shot to Pop Douglas in the second quarter. And that's a situation where Drake kind of got jittery. He did not reset his feet. And because of that, I thought the throw was inaccurate. It's a tough throw, but that's a throw that Drake has made multiple times this year. And one that would drive you crazy to me. And I don't know if you saw this the same way, Greg, but, 3rd and 10, right after missing, I think it was right after missing Pop on the hole shot. It's a 3rd and 10, and Drake bails from the pocket early. He feels pressure that's not really there. And because he bails early downfield, Hunter Henry ends up uncovering. Now, did Henry uncover because he pushed his guy down, or was there just kind of two dudes running into each other? I don't know. But defender's down on his ass, and Hunter Henry is wide open like 25 yards down the field. So if Drake doesn't bail early, keeps his eyes downfield, he very likely hits Hunter Henry for like a 35-yard gain, and that drive continues. So those are just 3 examples of plays that we would say were minus plays before the bad weather. I actually thought he played because of the elite throw to Mac Hollins on the flea flicker. I actually had him graded as a +1 in the terrible weather. So I thought he actually played okay in the terrible weather. He didn't have to do much, but I actually had him positive. All right, enough of that. Offensive line. I thought they were pretty good, Greg. And I would argue they were actually really good in pass protection, aside from, Will Campbell, 3 pressures. Jared Wilson, I think, gave up a couple, but nothing too crazy from the group. How'd you feel?
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that, and even I had 2 sacks on May. There was it's the 3rd and goal. Now, look, he took the sack and they kicked the field goal. So, in the moment, I didn't have a problem with the decision. I probably don't like overall, but, I thought Hunter Henry and Ramondre Stevenson were pretty much wide open on that play. So, and then, the other sack where he held the ball like forever. I know nobody was open, but I don't know what he was waiting for. And then I had 2 sacks on the team where there was nothing that they could do. One of them was like coverage, and It must have been an unblocked rusher or something like that.
Yeah.
So that's 4 out of the 5 sacks that aren't the responsibility of the offensive line. I thought Will Campbell was better in this game. I do think that we talked about it going in. I do think Benito is a better matchup
Yeah.
for him. I will say the thing that probably surprised me the most in this game was that Zach Allen didn't do much of anything in this game.
Agreed.
And including Ramondre Stevenson on Drake Maye's big 28-yard run. Ramondre Stevenson, who in the second half, not only did he run the ball extremely well, but he had some hellacious blitz pickups in the second half that were just invaluable. Like if Travion Henderson's out there, disaster awaits the Patriots. But because it was Ramondre and what he can do, like that 28-yard run, he picks up a stunt involving Zach Allen, who is like an all-pro level defensive tackle, and he blocks the crap out of him, stays with him. There's some guards in this league that can't do that, and Ramondre Stevenson did it. So, yeah, what you're saying, the offensive line, I thought they did a really good job. I thought, surprisingly, Mike Owenu was not good in the run game in this game.
Agree.
But overall, I would say, considering everything and who they were going against, I thought they won their battle. Yeah, they did. I mean, we talked about it coming out. Who gets the check mark, between Patriots offensive line and the Broncos defensive line and vice versa. And I thought coming in, I gave the Broncos a, slight edge in a lot of ways on both sides. And that, in fact, the opposite was true. The Patriots won both matchups decidedly, and that's a big reason why they won the game 10-7.
Given the matchup, I thought the O-line played well. And, props to Will Campbell. Again, I'm not telling you he was perfect. I think he was a -1 or -2 when I was watching from my spectacular grading system. But, he responded. He was atrocious against the Chargers and the Texans. Atrocious. And I think it says a lot that he's 21 years old. He goes out there. He's dealing, against a really talented defensive line. He's been really bad the first couple weeks of the postseason. Everybody is questioning him. Everybody saw the video when he's in the tunnel, and Vrabel's trying to literally get him to smile after beating Houston, and Will's having nothing to do with smiling at that moment. I thought he went out there and he played well, all things considered. And, it's funny. This is why I would suggest you listen to guys like Greg and guys that watch the film. There's others, Evan Lazar, Phil Perry. A lot of dudes do some good work. I try to do it. I don't know if I'm cosplaying, but if you listen to these guys, this is why you listen, because if you watch the game, I think a lot of people saw when Will got dusted by Benito, and that was on a cut block, and he just missed his cut block, and Benito got right past the cut block and was in the backfield in about a half a second. And, people might walk away from the game going, oh my God, did you see it? He got beat so badly, but he didn't. I thought Will Campbell was pretty good. By the way, we don't have a lot of time to get into this because Greg's going to go to Felger and Maz, but was interesting to me. You and I talked about it after the Houston game, how bad Travion Henderson was in that game. And he was. Interesting how he hardly played in the AFC Championship game. And it feels like we're now at the point where this is Ramondre Stevenson or bust in that backfield.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I just, we talked about it, after that game where I just said at this point, Travion Henderson is not a good running back. He's not. And that's not to say anything about, his future and all that stuff. And like normally running backs in this system need a redshirt year. And, I don't know whether he's going to be good or not. I know he can freaking hit a home run. If you give him a 3-foot hole with nobody in it, he's off to the races, and that's awesome. And, we'll see about his future, but, he's just, I was just glad to see the coaching staff be like, all right, enough participation trophies. Like it ain't getting the job done. It's not. He's leaving way too many yards on the field. He's a 50-50 proposition in pass protection. We're at the stage where, we can't risk that. And he's going to get in there to give Stevenson a blow every once in a while. But that's about it. I would not be surprised if we see one of the other running backs. You probably know this better than me because I know I don't know if Terrell Jennings is back and they signed somebody like that those guys could get more action than Travion Henderson in the Super Bowl. I'm sure they're going to have some schemed up, plays for Travion Henderson to perhaps use, like, some sort of screen or end around or something or other. But it would not shock me if in the Super Bowl, Travion Henderson is more like the third running back on the depth chart.
All right, don't forget CLNS, the YouTube channels we got working, Celtics All Access, CLNS Media Network is quite a thing. Check it out, behind-the-scenes content, segments from many Celtics podcasts, NBA History Channel, Patriots Press Pass, and, of course, Bruins Ringside. And don't forget Prize Picks. Download the app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Defense time. Greg, here was my tweet after watching the film. The Patriots D-line handed the Broncos O-line its entire ass on Sunday. Did you see it the same way?
My opinion of that matchup, it was a absolute pure ass kicking by the Patriots defensive line and front. They whooped the Broncos in every single way. Again, it's amazing what these guys are doing. Shout out to Clint McMillan and everybody else who's associated with the defensive line, Smith, all those guys. This is another game. I had 3 total minus plays for the entire defensive line. That's edges, interior guys, like the whole group of them. And 2 of them were by Kayvon Chason, on the read option where he got sucked in, and also he had a missed tackle. But he was again, boy, that guy has made a lot of money. I mean, he is going to get a boatload. I mean, we'll see if the Patriots can keep him. I wouldn't mind going the compensatory route with Kayvon Chason, but that would mean you couldn't sign somebody offsetting that. But anyways, yeah, I mean, look, I did wonder a little bit coming into this game, and I wrote this in my game day column about the matchup between the Patriots defensive line and offensive line. And, I do think that the Broncos offensive line is good. And, Wattenberg, the center, was coming back. I didn't know where his level of play was going to be. But I did wonder if Bo Nix's legs and how they use him in the run game. So that means you need to account for the quarterback. And, he's in the run game. He can scramble. He's the best quarterback in the league at avoiding sacks. Did all of that conspire to make the Broncos offensive line a little bit overrated? And also because Garrett Bowles at left tackle, first team All-Pro this year, he's never been a guy that I thought was first team All-Pro material before this year. And of course, I'm not watching the Broncos every week. And Minehurst has had issues in the past with Christian Barmore.
Yeah.
And Barmore owned that ass in this game, and just like he did last time, like it's just those guys just whooped ass.
Yeah,
they opened up an industrial size can of whoop ass on the Broncos offensive line.
Milton Williams is a monster, and we talk about so many plays and this and that. Almost like on a down by down basis, that dude is putting in work. And, I think Barmore had a sack at one point in this game, and it's helped by Milton Williams. He's getting doubled. And there was a video that came out, one of those mic'd up videos, which I'm just infatuated with. I love watching those things, no matter what team it is. I love sideline sound and on the field sound. I'm such a nerd for stuff like that. Coaching guys on the sidelines. But Milton Williams is like screaming throughout the game. I think it was the Chargers game. It might have been Houston. But he just keeps screaming at Barmore and anybody else who will listen on the sidelines. They got to pick one. They got to pick one. And what he's talking about is you can only double one dude. So they're either going to double you, Christian, or they're doubling me, and the other guy's going to eat. And I'm telling you, man, Milton Williams is a freaking monster. No matter who he goes against, no matter who the guy goes against, he is a problem. He's a problem for any offensive line, for any offensive lineman. The dude's a problem. Run, pass, problem. And Kayvon Chason, you're right. He's been outstanding. He's just been really good. And you have guys like, I think Clint McMillan, you brought it up, Greg. It's a great point because you see dudes like Leonard Taylor making plays. You see Corey Durden and his growth and what Durden has done. Anthony Jennings, who we all thought was lost on an island somewhere before this team kicked the football off. He's out there making impact plays. I mean, it's terrific to watch. Elijah Ponder beats Garrett Bowles early in this game. So Ponder's making some plays. It was a lot of fun watching this defensive film and watching that D-line do what they did. Christian Gonzalez. Greg, I thought he was good. I know that the 50-plus yard play early in this game got people pissed. I had questioned whether or not Gonzalez was expecting help over the top from Jalen Hawkins. I tweeted that out in real time. Did you see it that way? Did you think Gonzo kind of got burnt by his teammate there?
Yes, I thought that Jalen Hawkins blew both the 52-yarder and the touchdown.
Yeah.
I don't know what he was doing on the 52-yarder. It was very clear on film that it looked like to me that the Patriots were playing quarter. Well, they were playing quarter and then cover two on the right side. And it was very clear. And you could see Gonzalez and Hawkins communicating before the snap. But it was very clear to me that Gonzalez was playing some version of cover two. And he was basically like almost funneling the receiver. Who was it? Was that Mims or
it was Mims over the top?
Yeah, it was Mims.
Yeah, it was Mims.
Yeah, yep. And like he was expecting like Mims to go right to Jalen Hawkins, and then Hawkins is like looking to sort of double somebody in the middle of the field, but there's nobody really there. And I don't know what he was doing, but I think that Jalen Hawkins messed that up. I thought that he messed up the touchdown.
Yep.
He had bad eyes, took a couple of false steps, being over aggressive, and then boom, got hit with it. So I did not blame Gonzalez on that. I thought he was good. I mean, the interception was kind of a gift. Had a pass breakup earlier. I thought, outside of Hawkins, I thought everybody was pretty good on, defense. And I did want to bring up, because I got to get going pretty soon. But the Christian Ellis lateral play.
Yeah.
When I was watching that in real time and on, I had very limited replays where I was in the press box. I hate when that happens. I feel like I haven't watched the game, even though I'm at the game. I initially thought that was a screen, and then watching it back, it is not a screen. That running back is looking to chip, and I think it was Ponder was so far upfield that I just don't know what the hell Jarrett Stidham was doing on that play. First of all, Adam Troutman was wide open to the point where he was going like this to the right. Like, I don't know why Jarrett Stidham. It looked like Jarrett Stidham was running a screen, but nobody else on the team was running a screen. And then, it's obviously a disaster, and he pump fakes when all he needs to do is just turf the ball at the running back's feet. I don't know if it was Chase on or somebody was right. I understand that they were right there, but just throw it to the ground in front of his feet and move on. Instead, he brings it back, and then, oh my God. It was a great play by everybody involved, but to me, that play was an epic screw up by Jarrett Stidham. And I expected something like that out of him in this game. I think the Patriots did. The more pressure you get on him, his numbers were stark. Whether you get pressure, you don't get pressure in this game, it was night and day. It's always been sort of night and day for him. So once they started heating him up on the regular, the Broncos were cooked.
Who was good? Who was not so good in this one?
Let's see. Good. Ramondre Stevenson, Jared Wilson, Garrett Bradbury, Moses outside the sack against Cooper, Mac Hollins. This might be a while on the defensive line. Christian Barmore, Milton Williams, Kayvon Chason, Anthony Jennings. Of course, Leonard Taylor, field goal block, shout out. The Broncos couldn't even get lined up properly. They weren't deep enough on their field goal. Again, another attention to detail that the Patriots don't F that up. The Broncos do. Obviously, Christian Ellis with the lateral fumble. Marcus Jones, Christian Gonzalez, Carlton Davis, Craig Woodson, guys that weren't good.
Craig Woodson, by the way, let me just say, Craig Woodson is becoming one of my favorite watches.
I can't believe he's playing this well as a rookie with this many games played. I thought for sure he was going to hit a rookie wall and get tired. He's getting better as the season goes along.
He's just playing so fast. Like he's like, you could tell he's just super comfortable diagnosing everything. He's around almost every play. He's a lot of fun to watch, man. Talk about a really good pick. That was a really good pick.
Not good. Drake Maye, Michael Wenu, and Jalen Hawkins. That's it.
I thought Jalen
and
Hawkins.
Bryce Behringer.
Oh my God, suck fest.
My God.
All right, I know you got to go, but I got to get this off my chest, and I don't know if I'm going to have another shot to do it anywhere else. Bryce Behringer sucked on Sunday. We all saw it. He sucked. He sucked out loud. He was atrocious. He was embarrassing. And what's even worse is that he comes out after the game and he's like, well, the plan was I wasn't supposed to punt it to Marvin Mims. As if you're trying to keep it away from the punt returner, you have to kick it 30 to 35 yards every time. Like, what are we doing? You can keep it away from the punt returner and still get 45 yards to 50 yards on your punt, Bryce. Like, there's no excuse. And then he's like, and then he also said, I couldn't see where I was kicking because of the snow. Well, you know who didn't have a problem with that? The Broncos punter, who kept pinning you inside the 10 every time. Like, just say you sucked. The excuses bothered me even more than the performance. All right.
Yeah.
Go have fun with those two guys. I'm sure it'll be a blast.
All right. Yeah.
We'll talk to you later in the week, everybody. Be well. Bye-bye.